Hey everyone. I think I want to share this thing early because I keep tinkering with it and I can't. I've made every piece of this thing numerous times and I just think I should put it out there, so I'll commit to a final design. Um, as you can see, this is a little bit of a departure from what I usually do because it's on this chain. It's on this chain for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, when I was working on my last edition, someone just sort of offhandedly mentioned that they wished my piece was a little smaller, and my reply was something to the effect of, like, if it was smaller, you would drop it. So, it would have to be on a chain uh, to, to protect it. And they replied that that was a good idea, and I just sort of thought about that, and I thought, maybe it wouldn't work for that piece, but it made me think of something else. It made me think of, when I think about decorative objects, when I think about things that I have sort of coveted or fidgeted with over the years, strangely enough, I come back to this. Someone sent this to me a couple years ago, but when I was as a kid, I had a couple pocket watches, and they weren't cool. I mean, they were never cool, but I was just sort of drawn to them, like many people are, because they're an object that you can fiddle with, right? You wind them, you open and close them, and they're just sort of a substantial metal object that you keep on you and you have. And this is actually the thing that I fuss with the most in my office. It just sits there, and my son is taken to grabbing it. So I thought, I'm not going to make a pocket watch, but I wanted to make a piece of art for your watch pocket. And so I kind of set out with that as my my marching orders here on this design. So as you can see, it's about the same size as a pocket watch. It's obviously much thicker and much heavier, but from there I just tried to sort of develop a little like language around that made some kind of sense for the source material. And I just bought this nice little stainless steel chain to put it on, to just sort of nod to what this is, or what this is supposed to be. So its mechanic is a sort of it's sort of a ratcheting effect that just moves the center dial around. I think everyone can put together the logic behind that. I guess what I wanted to talk about, though, in terms of engineering this thing, is that, when you think of a ratcheting mechanism, I think most people think of like how a socket wrench works, or a ratchet mechanism like this. This is a pawl lock ratchet. And so as this gear spins, this little finger just kind of pops up and locks each position. But I've never really, that mechanism is, first of all, it's fiddly to machine, but it's just not that elegant. And I've been making all these sort of detent pieces, so I thought, I have made a detent style ratchet before in a different way, but I thought that there might be another way to do it that might be fun and interesting. So for those unfamiliar on how a detent works, there's just a pocket with a spring and a ball bearing that sits on it. And in this case, this gear has little teeth cut into it. And if it were in a center position like this, turning the gear to the left or the right would just allow the ball to depress and cog to the next position. So either direction it would spin, but for a ratcheting mechanism, you need to constrain motion to just one direction. And so figuring out how to do that with this little assembly was the fun part. So what I came up with, and I think that's not going to seem like super earth-shattering to anyone, is that if you offset the pockets to the left or the right, what you end up with is, as you turn the gear clockwise, the tooth engages the ball right almost dead center on the top. So most of the force that's being transferred into the ball is pushing it down. When you turn the same gear counterclockwise, now you have a tooth that's contacting the ball almost dead on the side. So what that does is it pushes the ball left or up, and it jams and it locks, so it won't turn counterclockwise. And this actually works much better than I thought it would. So in order to get the ratcheting mechanism, you need 2 of those. So the back plate has pockets offset to the right, and a gear, and then there's an inner gear that has a gear cut into it that stacks on it, and this one has the pockets offset to the left. And then this piece that I'm calling the bezel has a gear that rests on that. So you get, when you turn it clockwise, it'll ratchet on this gear. When you turn it counterclockwise, it'll lock, and the inner gear will ratchet on the back plate. And then there's just a little pin in the bezel that engages this notch that limits the bezel from moving only one position in each direction. And it works great, and it's a super fun little mechanism. So obviously you can hold this still and work this like a lever, which is fun. And you can easily hold it in one hand and just work it with one hand, and that's also very satisfying and appealing. But what I really wanted was just an excuse, and all of this is really all just an elaborate excuse to find a way to inlay some really nice material in a nice composition where I can really highlight just how awesome some of these materials are. So this is some of the box outer that I made myself, but I actually have ordered some superconductor and some titanium Damascus and some other things. So I want to make a bunch of different, I'm calling this the lens, or the, yeah, for the watch nomenclature, and I'm just gonna make a bunch of different things I think will work great. I think a bunch of really nice hardwoods would look great in here, and I think some exotic metals would look great in here. I'll probably anodize. This is aluminum. I'm debating to make this in brass and stainless steel as well, but I think there's an opportunity for some interesting color combinations, and I haven't really decided on whether or not to make this bezel out of anything else. I'm a little worried about the durability of the gear inside out of softer materials like copper or brass, but I'll figure it out. You don't know until you try. So for now, I just kind of want to throw this out there and see what the reaction is, and I'm going to keep fiddling with it. But for now, that's the piece. It hangs pretty well. It hangs pretty neutral, pretty straight up and down. And I haven't really worn it on my belt yet, but I'll probably will soon. But it does fit in your pocket watch pocket if you have a pair of jeans. Yeah, okay. So that's it. I'm having fun. So hope some of you like this one. Okay, see ya.